Guys, today we'll work on application server files. So in the previous sessions, we worked with local files, which are available in your local system. Like we are able to upload and we are able to download, right? So what we did, we uploaded file data into one ABAP internal table, and we downloaded internal table data into file, right? For that we used GUI upload, GUI download, and text convert XLS to SAP function modules to do that, right? So today we are going to work with what type of files? Application server files. Server files. So what do you mean by server files? These files are going to be available in one server, not in your local system. Okay? So these files are going to be available in SAP S/4HANA server, not in your local systems. So why we use these application server files? For example, we need to transfer or we need to exchange data between SAP to other systems. How can we do that? We can use interfaces concept, right, for that to exchange data between SAP and other systems. Interface in the
Awesome.
interface means not object-oriented interfaces, right? ABAP interfaces. There are different types of interfaces like file, idocs, proxy, BAPI, right? These are all the interface techniques which we use to transfer or receive data from SAP to other systems. Let's say we have different other systems. So the type of the interface, what type of the interface we need to use, that depends on the source system and target system. Here, sender is the source system, receiver is the target system, and their configurations, right? Few systems can accept XML data, or few systems can accept only database requests, right? For that, we may need to use JDBC calls, right? So depends on the system. We need to choose our interface. File is one type of the interface. When we use file, usually when we need to transfer huge data, so we prefer file, okay, instead of other interfacing techniques. So file can handle more records. So we create a file with all the records and send it to the receiver. In between, there might be some middleware, PI or some other middleware, which will convert your SAP file into their corresponding techniques like JDBC or any web service or anything, whatever the receiver able to identify or compatible with the receiver. This middleware tool will convert middleware. Example for middleware is SAP PIPO or SAP CPI. These are the middleware tools. There are other middleware tools also like what is it? Informatica and what is the other middleware? Dell Boomi. There are some third-party middleware tools also, but in SAP we have SAP PIPO and SAP CPI, Cloud Platform Integration. Okay, so it will accept data in one format and convert into the desired format of the receiver. Here in this example, since we are discussing about a file, so we send a file and the middleware tool will process the file and send it same file or some web service, depends on the receiver requirement. Okay, so we have one SAP S4 HANA system and different third party systems, system 1, 2, 3, right? So SAP HANA system can send the data, to third-party systems, or can receive the data from third-party systems, right? It can send the data to third-party systems, or it can receive the data from third-party systems. Now, sending is which scenario? Outbound.
Outbound.
Receiving,
Inbound
Inbound.
interface.
inbound scenario. In outbound, what we do? We read the data from database tables in S4 HANA program, and we prepare a file and send it to third party systems. If it is inbound scenario, external systems send the data in the form of file, and we read that file and convert that file into internal table, and what we do after that? Create that data in SAP, store somewhere in the SAP tables. Store that data in some SAP tables, right? In inbound scenario, we are going to create the data in S4 system, SAP system. In outbound scenario, we are reading the SAP data and transferring it to external systems, right? Now, in this scenario, so where the files will be stored initially before processing it. So, for example, SAP wants to send some file to the external system. What will happen? First, we create one program, SC38 program, and we do some database selects or joins, whatever, prepare some final data, and what we need to do? We need to convert that internal table data into which one? File.
Table.
File. We convert that final data into one file. Okay. And where we store that file? We'll store that file in all the files will be placed in application
For
server. We call this
one.
as application server. Transaction code is AL11. AL11 is the transaction code. In this application server, you can find folders. We call them as directories. So depends on the data, we place that file in the corresponding directory. For example, sales and sales data, daily sales data. We create one directory in the AL11. Keep that file in the AL11 server. If it is related to finance data, we create one separate directory for those files, right? So depends on the file, we keep in a separate directory. Once we posted the file to application server, what will happen? We post file, we collect the data into an internal table in the program and prepare that internal table data into file, and we post that file into AL11. Once the file is available, what will happen? Middleware, middleware will read the file. Middleware will read the file and send the data to external systems. That is outbound scenario. What about inbound scenario? In inbound scenario, middleware read the data from external systems and post that file into A11. Post that file into A11. And our program, our inbound program should read this SAP file. We have two operations possible. Posting the file to A11 and reading the file from A11. We use same SC38 program. Okay? To post the file or to read the file. Inbound, outbound. If it is inbound, program will create a file in A11 and external systems will access that file with the help of some middleware tool. Okay. If it is a inbound scenario, external systems post the file into A11 and SAP program will read that file and convert that data into which one? What the
Middle.
SAP program will do after reading the file from A11? Convert the data into which object?
In file.
Internal table. When like in outbound scenario, we convert SAP data, internal table data into file and post it into AL11, and external systems will read that file. In the inbound scenario, external systems create one file in AL11. Our program, SAP Aware program, will read that file and convert into which one?
What?
Internal table. Convert the data into internal table. What we did when we are working with local files, we uploaded the file and converted it into internal table, right?
So, yes,
Here also we are going to do the same thing. We are reading the AL11 file and convert that data, that file into internal table. Okay? Is everyone clear?
yes, sir.
You can ask questions if you are not clear on anything. Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So in our SAP in our SAP environment, a program, a C38 program we create, that program can read the file from A11 or post the file to A11. Depends on the requirement. We create a outbound program or inbound program. Clear? Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the syntax? What is the syntax in the program we need to use to convert internal table data into A11 file, or read A11 file and post and convert the data into one internal table. So here observe first. So what type of files we are working with now? Application server files. So which are available in a server. So application server files can be accessed from anywhere in any system. Local files you can access from only that current system. But if the application server files are available in the directory, you can access that file from anywhere. Okay? Because those are stored in the server. If you have access, you can read those files and process. Okay? Now observe the syntax. What is the syntax we use to create the application server files?
Sir, could you please demonstrate
We
yourself?
can't able to see screen.
Sorry. Okay. So till now I have explained this. I'm sorry I did not share the screen. So till now I have explained this. Okay. So we have different external systems and SAP system. And in between we have a middleware. So external systems can post the data to AL11 directory, and our program will read that file and convert the data into internal table. That is inbound scenario. What about outbound scenario? SAP S4HANA program will read the data and convert that data into AL11 file. And middleware will read that file and send it to external systems. Okay. So what is the syntax we use to create the file in AL11 directory? This one, open data set, open data set statement. Okay. So what is the use of open data set statement? This is to create a file, or this is to open a file in A11 directory. Okay. Open data set is the statement which we use to create a file or open the file in A11 directory for output or input. Which one is for output and which one is for input?
Output is for creation.
Output is to create a new file. Output is to create a new file, to write, observe here, to write or post internal table data to application server. To create a new file in application server, output is for which scenario, outbound or inbound? Output for which scenario?
Outbound.
Outbound, outbound. Simple,
Outbound.
right? Input, input is for inbound scenario. That means we are going to read the file which is already available in application server. So SAP program is going to read the file which is available in application server. For that we use input. Okay. So open data set is common for both. And after open data set, what we need to pass? Path, application server path, the application server path. So in which directory, in which application server directory, we need to post that file. So open data set and application server path in text mode. Which mode you want to access the data? Is it in text mode or binary mode? We have text and binary modes. In which mode you want to transfer the data? So if you use binary mode, what it will do? It will handle the records in character wise, character by character, one by one, one by one, one by one character. It will process the data if you use a binary mode. What if you use text mode? It will go by line, record by record. Line by line, it will process the data. If you use binary mode, it will go by character wise,
It will
character
go
by
by
character.
character wise.
Here we have three modes: for output, for input, for appending. So I forgot appending. So after open data set, we have three modes. For output, for input, and for appending. For output is to create the file. For input is to read the file. For appending, let's say there is one file already created in application server by previous execution of our program. Now we have some pending records. We need to add those pending records to the existing file. What we need to do? We need to add few more records to the existing file. Instead of output, what we need to use? For appending. Because if you use output, it tries to create a new file. But if you use appending and provide the same file name, it will add those additional records to the existing file. Clear? So what is the syntax to work with application server files or to create the application server files? Open data set. Open data set is the statement. So after open data set statement, what we need to pass? Path, the directory address where you need to post the file, and mode, in which mode you want to process the data, in text mode or binary mode. If you use binary mode, it will process the data character wise, character by character. But if you use text mode, it will start from new line every
It
time.
will start from new line.
Okay. And for output, for input, for appending, output is to create the new file, and input is to read the existing file, and for appending is to add the additional records to the existing file. And encoding default, so that is about file encoding, that is default encoding. After open data set statement, what we need to do? We need to use if it is outbound, we need to use transfer. If it is outbound scenario, what is the statement we need to use? Transfer. Transfer statement. We loop the data. Before that, we need to collect the data into one final internal table. And first, we need to create the file in application server by using open data set statement. First, we need to create the file, empty file. And after creating, what we need to do? We need to transfer the data to file, record by record. For that, what we do? We loop the internal table with the data and we pass each record to that file, right? After processing all the records, what we need to do? Close it, close the file, close data set. Open data set, close data set. Open data set is to create the new file. Close data set is to close the file, complete the file. And transfer is to create data in the file or transfer the records, internal table records to file one by one. Okay, this is for outbound, to create a new file. What about for inbound? This is for inbound. What it will do? Syntax is same. Open data set, instead of in output, since we are reading the data from application server, we use input. Encoding is default. And to read the data, what it will do? Open data set statement will just open the file. It will open the file, but it cannot read the records. To read the records, what is the statement we need to use? Read data set. Read data set into work area. We read one by one record and append that work area records to internal table. After processing all the records from the file, close data set. Okay. So to create the records, to create the new records, we use a transfer statement between open data set and close data set statement. To read the records, we use read data set statement before open data set and close data set. Okay. If you observe here,
Okay.
so third-party systems can send the data to SAP S4HANA or receive the data from SAP S4HANA. If third-party systems are sending the data to SAP, that is inbound scenario, right? If SAP is sending the data to third-party systems, that is outbound scenario. Okay. So in between, we'll be having one middleware tool which will convert sender data to receiver format. Okay. Can you tell me a few middleware tools? Can you guys tell me a few middleware tools?
CPI and
Where
PIPO.
Models integration.
SAP CPI and
Models.
SAP PIPO. Okay. These are the SAP middleware tools. Now observe this example. So to create the file, we use open data set and directory address in text mode. For output, encoding is default. If sub r is equal to 0, that means if file is successfully created, in application server, then what we do? Once the file is created, we transfer the data to the file from the internal table, our final internal table, one by one. Okay. Once all the records are completed, close data set. Complete the file. The application server file will be created in AL11. What about inbound scenario? For inbound, we use same open data set statement to read the file, and we need to provide the path and the file name in text mode. For input means to read the records and encoding default. And to read the records, what we need to use? Read data set. Read data set statement. And we move that one by one record into work area and append that work area record to internal table. Once we are able to process all the file records, close data set. Okay. For example, if you want to delete the file, from application server, what is the statement we need to use? This one. Delete data set. Delete
Delete
data
data.
this
set
one.
and provide the file path. Which file you want to delete? Okay. Clear? You may need to work frequently with these kind of programs in projects. Especially in support projects, you can observe a lot of file interfaces which transfers data from SAP to other systems or receive data from other systems to SAP. When we use these file interfaces, in general in projects, when we use these file interfaces,
When we have a large amount of data.
yeah, when we need to process huge amount of data like large records. Okay. If it is record by record or simple data, we use other interfaces like lightweight data. We use other interfaces like proxies, web services. Okay, but if you need to process bulk data, we use a file interfaces. Okay, now let's create a program. First, we'll see one outbound scenario. Do we have any programs readily available with some final data? Is this working?
Yes, sir.
Let me test. What is the document type?
TA.
Sorry, TA.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Look, there is some issue here. You are populating some default values, but it is. What is the format you need to use here?
Year, month, and date.
Then what I think this is not the what is the SAP's internal date format?
Year, month, date, and
This one, right? This is
yes, sir.
external date format. You should not use that. Right? Now it is displaying properly. Okay. So now we have some data. So we are collecting some data into internal table, but here, see, what is that? When you created this program, is it recently or
On.
okay? You created on 22nd, right? Means recently only, last week, maybe last week, right? So we have already introduced ALV reports, right? You should use ALV reports, not CL demo output. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, rest of the code is correct. Always practice, also practice joins for the same example. Okay? And you did not modularize this program using class methods. I told you to modularize your programs, right? Every time when you create a program, you have to use class methods. You should not write any logic inside the program. Keep your logic inside the class methods. Practice that. Even if it is a simple program, practice that. Okay? Don't write any of your logic inside the program. Keep this in one method. Keep this data selection in one method. And keep all your data processing, loop processing in another method. Okay?
Yes, sir. I copied this program, that demo for all entries one.
Okay.
I did that all those things in that one.
Okay. Okay. Now. Okay. For now, we'll use this data to create the application server file. What we are doing here, we are selecting sales order header data and sales order item data and material text, and we are merging that data into one final internal table. This is our final output structure, right? This is our final output structure. Now we'll post this data, this final output data into application server file. How to post that data? So what is the syntax to create the file in application server?
Open data set.
Open data set is the
Open data
statement
set is the
we need to use. Before that, before that, what we need? We need to provide the directory, right? So we need to select specific directory, right? File name. In which directory you want to post this file? There should be a specific directory, right? To provide the directory, we'll create one parameter. For now, take it as a string. Let me show you AL11 first. Go to AL11. So this is AL11. These are all the different directories available. Usually, so basis administrators will create these directories. Depends on our requirement. Okay. So these directories can be accessible by using external tools. There are some external tools like FTP, FileZilla, or there are file accessible FTP tools. We can access these files using those FTP tools also. But in SAP, if you want to access the server files, what is the transaction code? A11. So these are all the different directories. First, let's assume like usually in these training systems, dir home will have access. Double click on this dir home. Here you can see different files. We can post it into, we can post from the program to this server directory. These are all the files. You can see when that particular file is posted. Okay. Daily PO data. Who created this? I think someone has created recently. Daily PO data. Double click. So this is the file. Looks like it is a tab separated file. Tab separated file. Right? So usually how these files will be posted? How these files will be posted? I said we are going to create one program, right? Is someone going to run that program manually, daily, to read the data from SAP and post it into A11? Is someone going to run that program manually, daily? No. We create a background job. We create a background job. What do you mean by background job? By using that job, that program will execute automatically daily at a specific time. Okay. If you schedule the program to run at 10 a.m. daily, at 10 a.m. the program will automatically start and read the data and post the file to application server. Okay. Clear? So this is the server path. This is the application server path. Okay. USR SAP A4H D15 work. That is for dir home directory. This is the directory path. Okay. Let's use this directory path to post the data into SAP application server. Provide the file path p underscore file. Okay. We have created one parameter. Now, what is the statement we need to write to post the file into application server? Instead of display, what I need to use? We need to post the file into application server, right? I'll show you one thing here. Radio buttons. I'll show you radio buttons. What is my requirement? I want two functionalities for this program. I want two functionalities this program. Guys, are you clear about this program, or do you want me to create a new program from the beginning?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No need,
No
sir.
need, right? Okay. Okay. So I need to have two options for this program. If I select one option, it should only display the output. It should not create the file. Okay. If I select the other option, then only it should create the file in application server. How can you provide those options in the selection screen? By using radio buttons. By using radio buttons, we can provide the user to select any one required option, either by radio button, sorry, either by display or let me define radio buttons. We use same parameter statements for radio buttons also. For example, r underscore radio button 1 is for display, r underscore display, radio button. I'm defining it as what type of parameter? Radio button, and we need to provide a group G1, some group name, and r underscore file, radio button group, same group G1. Now observe in the input selection screen, we need to create selection text for this. At a time, how many radio buttons you can select? Only
Two radio buttons.
only one we can select, either display or file. You can select only one option. You cannot select both. That is the property of radio buttons. Where whenever you see, if you see a radio button, you can select only one option, right? If you need to provide multiple options, what type of element we use? Checkbox, right?
checkbox,
If you need to provide multiple selection, what is the element we use? Checkbox we use. If you allow the user to select only one option, we provide what element?
Radio.
Radio button.
Radio button.
So here we defined both under same group, right? G1. That's why in this group we can select only one option. Okay. Let me add one more group. For example, R2, some names, provide some name for the radio button. For this I am using different group. For this I am using different group. Check this in the output. So you can select any one radio button from this group G2. From G1 you can select any one radio button. Okay, clear? If you keep all of them in the same group, let me change the group name G1. I'm keeping all radio buttons in the same group. Check how it's work. Now you can select only one radio button from the all four options. Clear? Is everyone clear about radio buttons? This is the syntax to create the radio button. Parameters, radio button name, radio button, type as radio button, and the group. We need to provide the group name, any name. Okay. You need to group radio buttons so that user can select only one option. Okay. You need to maintain the text elements like in selection text. This is file path, and this one R2, sorry, R2 we have already deleted. Display output, and this is to create file. Activate this. You can check by using if condition. You can use simple if condition to identify which option is selected. If display option is selected, r underscore display equal to x. If file is selected, r underscore file equal to x. You need to check that like this. If r underscore disp is not initial, you can check like that, or if r underscore display equal to abap underscore true, you can also check like this. Then display the output. Else, what we need to do, or you can also use like this, else if r underscore file equal to abap underscore true, then create the file in application server. How to do that? What is the syntax? Open
Data
dataset,
set.
p underscore, what is the path? Provide the file path. P underscore file, right? The directory address or file name, p underscore file. What is the next syntax?
Text
Now
mode.
are we creating the file or reading the file from A11? We are trying to create a new file, right?
Creating the file. Create a new file, right?
What is the syntax
Yes.
for output?
For
Mode in text mode, use text mode,
mode.
and encoding is default encoding. This is to create the file. This syntax will create a file in A11. Is it going to create the data or create only one empty file? One empty file. It will only simply create one empty file. No data inside that. To populate the data, what we need to do? What is the statement we need to use to populate the data? Transfer, right?
Transfer.
Transfer statement we need to use. If sy-subrc equal to 0, that means if the file is successfully created, sometimes file may not be created due to some authorization issues, access issues, we may not be able to create the file. All right, so we should transfer the data only when the file is created successfully. Then loop your internal table. Loop at what is your final internal table? This one, lt final into, I think you have already defined one work area, into ls underscore final end loop, and in between this what you need to write? Transfer, right? Transfer from what? From where? Transfer
LS.
ls
LS
final to which one? This file path, whatever the file path
path
you
file.
created, right? After file processing, clear the work area. Okay. Once you processed all the records, what is the next step? We need to close the file. We have opened the file here. We transferred the records one by one to the file, and after processing, after end loop, close the file. Close dataset p underscore file. That's it, right? Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now let's see how it works. So only issues we observe when we are working with these, right? Issue with authorization. Sometimes you don't have authorization to create the files in that particular directory. At the time, you cannot create the file, so that subrc will fail. Or sometimes you provide incorrect directory location. That is the other reason for the errors. Okay. So let's keep a breakpoint here. Is everyone clear about the radio buttons? Now I
Yes,
just
sir.
want to display. I don't want to create the file. I don't want to create the file. First, I want to check the data. First, I want to check the data, right? Am I sending the correct data or not? Am I processing the correct data or not? I want to make sure that before sending it. For that, I'll use display option. R underscore display that contains X, because we selected R underscore display. R underscore file is empty, right? Now it will display the data. Now to create the file, we need a file name, right? Let's provide some file name. By default, it will create a file in dir home directory. What is this data? Sales underscore data dot some txt. Provide some name. Execute. Sorry, I need to select. Uh, I need to select create file option. Now execute. Now R underscore file is selected. Now let's see if this P underscore file contains file name. That file name whatever we provided, right? F5 sub RC0, that means file is successfully created in A11. Let's go and check in A11 before transferring the data. I'm not transferring the data. Let's go and check in A11. Is this file already created or not? In dir home, because we did not provide any address, right? We just provided the file name. Did we provided any path? Any specific directory path we provided here? No, right? We just provided
No,
the
sir.
file name. By default, it will create that file in dir home if you don't provide any specific directory path. Go and check in this one, or we sort this data by last changed ascending. This one, right? Sales data.txt. The file, this is the file we created. Can you find any data in this file? It is not opening because it is empty. We just created the file. We did not transfer any data, right? Clear? Is everyone clear?
Yes, sir.
Now we need
Yes,
to
sir.
transfer the data. Let's transfer the data. For that, what we are doing? We are looping the final output. We are looping the final internal table data. Any internal table data you want to create. And transfer records one by one. What happened? The statement that could not be executed. What is the statement? Transfer the argument position F. Let's go to source code extract to find what is the issue. Where is the error? In transfer. We have the issue in transfer. Double click. I did not find any issue, even I did not find any. Maybe let me
Let me.
no syntax errors. So what is the system exception saying? Go to ST22.
Hello, Anna.
Yes,
I think we clear the work area in end of selection.
that's not an issue. I think what it is saying. Uh, okay, not care like. If you the error occurred, might be able to find the solution if you have access to the SAP system. Okay, what it is saying? Not care like structure. Do we have any numeric fields? Do we have any numeric fields in the what it is saying? UC object not care like. So yeah, it will accept only character type data when we are transferring the data to application server file. It will accept only character type data. Do we have any numeric data here? Yeah, net price. These are all numeric data only, right? Yes or no? Net price, total price. These two are numeric data, right? So these
Yes,
two
sir.
fields it's not going to accept. These two fields it's not going to accept. For that reason, always remember when we have numeric data, dates, right? We should create a separate structure, a separate file structure for data like to create the files. We need to create a separate type structure file format. This is to select the data, final internal table format. But our file format should be different if we have any numeric data. Okay.
So for now, close the numeric.
Okay. If you want, I'll just remove these two fields.
Yes.
I'll comment these two. Okay. Or I'll just remove in the final work area and I'll keep it here in the data selection. Okay. Only I don't populate them in here. I just commented the final type structure, final internal table type structure. So they're not going to be part of this final type structure. Now activate it. So I've activated. Now execute the program. Select the file and provide the file name. Since file data is already created, I'll take 1, 2, 3. Now execute. Sub RC0 file is created. Now looping, transferring record 1 by 1 to file. Now it is working. Okay. We are able to transfer the data. What you need to do? You need to create one separate type structure. You need to create one separate type structure and take these two fields as a character, type character, some char 20 or char 30. Okay. And populate this final internal table data to this work area. Okay. This file structure internal table or file structure work area. Like that, it will process until completing all the records. After end loop, close the data set. File that is closed. Now go and check in AL11. You should be able to find some records. Go to dir home, that is the default directory. If you don't provide any specific directory, sort it by last change date so that you can find the records created today. This one 123 text, right? Double click on this. So this is the data. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
from this directory, from this application server directory, middleware system will read this file. Middleware system will read this file and send it to third party systems. Okay. Our middleware system posts the file here, and our program, we need to create a program to read the file from AL11 directory to our local internal table. That we'll see tomorrow. That is inbound scenario. So instead of transfer, what we use here, read. Instead of output, we use input. Okay, clear?
Yes, sir.
So
Okay, sir.
practice using radio buttons, practice using radio buttons, and also create application server files. For now, don't pass any directory address here, just pass the file name. Okay, by default it will store in dir home directory, this one, dir underscore home. Okay, by default it will store your file in this directory, but usually in projects, right, they will provide a specific path where we need to store the file. That will be like this: slash usr sap a4h slash sys global slash sales data slash sales report.txt, like that we need to provide. Okay, and also we can add f4 help. We can add f4 help to select the application server files. So in the previous session we created f4 help, right? That is to select the local files, local system files, right? We can add f4 help to select the application server directory files, server files. Tomorrow we'll add that to choose the files. Okay, usually that we use for inbound scenario when we read application server files. Clear? Okay, please practice this. It's very important.